Hello. So, I'm starting a new series where I'm going to be analyzing One Piece, a manga which, admittedly, I have never read before. I don't even know how to pronounce some of these characters' names. But I figured this would be a very interesting way to maintain continuity in analyzing a single work over a long piece of time. Because it would take too long, I think, to analyze every single frame or even every single episode in whole. The way I'll be doing this is taking pivotal moments from each chapter, one pivotal moment from each chapter, and analyzing each in a video. I guess I'll start at the beginning. And so, what I have here is a panel from the first chapter. Now, if you're watching this video, I imagine you're a fan of the series, so there's no need to introduce all of the context. But um, what's happened here is that Luffy, again, I'm not entirely sure how to say this because I'm just a marauder in this series. Luffy has just eaten the gum gum fruit, which gives him the ability to stretch. He has discovered this ability when I think a pirate grabs him and his arm stretches. And now he's going about the village, buying some fruit from the local fishmonger, and the mayor is telling him that he can't be a pirate. The mayor is concerned that Luffy will bring shame upon the village. Now, the reason that this set of three panels caught my eye is because I think there's a natural harmony between the way he's stretching out his cheeks in the top panel and the way that he's sticking out his ears, sticking fingers into his ears in the bottom left panel. Right? In both cases, we have an alignment of Luffy's body and arms that stretches outwards. Okay, but the two acts he's doing are in some way completely converse from each other. Right? If by stretching out his cheeks, he is not only showing his new capacity, but also displaying a larger mouth, say an ability to speak, an ability to confidently proclaim himself. In the latter, in the bottom left panel, he is instead displaying his refusal to listen, right? So if one of these panels emphasizes his confidence in speaking, his newfound confidence in speaking, represented, of course, humorously by stretching out his mouth. The other shows how much he's shut out the confidence or the competence of others. And forgive me as I go through this, I'm really just kind of analyzing it as I go, trying to work it out organically, as I've done in my other videos if you've watched them. Okay, so let's think again about what he's doing in this top panel, stretching out his mouth. Okay, so I've kind of taken that as an emblematic celebration of his newfound abilities, and that's of course what it is on the surface. But the fact that he's doing it with his mouth is significant. It connects with the voice, it connects with the ability to speak, but it also, I think, relates back to the capacity to eat. Okay, eating is what gave him this power in the first place. Of course, eating the gum gum fruit. Now think about what you're doing when you're eating, right? When people eat, they are revealing a desire generally, right? You eat things that you want to eat, and in eating things that you want to eat, you are fulfilling the desire, and it's this kind of it's also primal desire, right? You don't it's not like a newfound abstraction of the human being to eat things. All animals eat. So you might say that in a way it's what connects us to quote unquote lower life forms, right? So Luffy's ability comes from something incredibly simple. It comes from that propensity to eat things. It comes from his desire to eat things, and what it provides for him is stretchability. Okay, and let's think about what that means, because stretchability is a very interesting superpower, right? It suggests a kind of flexibility. It suggests an adaptability. In that way, though, because it's the opposite of rigidity or, say, strict firmness, it also kind of defies categorization, right? And we know that One Piece is a long series. Again, I haven't read very much of it, right? But one thing that a long series has to do is stretch and conform itself to many different storylines, many different pathways. You know, one might say that being a pirate, one of the most important things is being able to be flexible, right? Because you never quite know what sort of situation you're going to run into, right? So the capacity to adapt, to change on the spot, to bend and not break when you encounter new things. These are vital to any adventure story, but they're perhaps especially vital to the pirate, right? I also think there's something going on here about the fact that Luffy cannot swim, right? Of course, to swim is to have a kind of it's to have this ability to be pliable, to be flexible, to be kind of you adapt yourself. You're not stern and rigid. You're moving, and if he can't do that inherently, he's been given this ability to be more of a motile creature. Okay, all right. So that's all very interesting. Stretchability is very interesting, and I think it's very important that is the power, the precise power that's bestowed upon him. Okay, and again here he's exhibiting that capacity for flexibility and for infinite variety by stretching out his mouth. Okay. Again, that is the organ of speech, the organ of storytelling, right? So the author of this text, the author of this comic, is somebody who, like Luffy, needs to have an infinitely various ability to tell stories, represented by this mouth. Okay, so that in a way, this picture sort of embodies the genesis of this manga right here. And then it's important that this happens in episode 1, because what we know from the beginning is that this is a story that will undergo much variability, much change. Okay, so then what about the next frame, or the final frame in this 3-frame series? The image that I'm arguing is the converse of the first frame, where he's sticking his fingers into his ears. This displays a lack of ability to listen, right? And this is underscored by the little voice effects coming out of the mayor, blah 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 blah, right? But I think that there's a kind of visual concordance here between the stretching out of the cheek and the pose that he takes on when he sticks his fingers into his ears, right? So why would the artist choose to make these two things agree in shape and form? Well, I would say that there's a way in which they're meant to agree, right? That you're supposed to see the flip side of this superpower as this inability to listen, right? There's always a bad side to the good thing that you've been given. And what's interesting here is that everything that I just said is really vital about his new superpower is being echoed, at least structurally, by his fingers in his ears. So in what way might those things be the same? In what way might that infinite variability of the flexible superpower also lead to a complete disregard of what other people have to say, right? And I think one answer is that when you have a superpower, you really do depend on yourself over and above the advice of other people. And I have no idea where this thing is going to go, but I would say that one guess I have is that he's going to need to learn how to not stick his fingers into his ears as a result of his extreme superpower, right? That being flexible in body must needs be, you have to have a concomitant flexibility in terms of learning from other people. Because what happens if you're inflexible? We actually have a great example standing right behind Luffy. This mayor, he does not have mobility, right? That's indicated by the fact that he's holding onto that cane, right? This is what happens when somebody is inflexible. Okay, in a weird way, Luffy and the mayor are sort of characteristically the same, right? Neither of them, Luffy by putting fingers in his ears, and the mayor by refusing to bend on on the fact that Luffy might become a pirate. They're both displaying a kind of obstinacy, inflexibility, stubbornness, right? In fact, we might see the positioning of Luffy and this old man as suggesting that kind of the trope of the boy becoming the man. In a way, they're both expressing a lack of flexibility here. They're both expressing a lack of mobility here. Luffy's great chance is that he's given this flexibility. Maybe this is why this is such a powerful symbol, especially for children, because when someone is a child, they are indeed full of life and infinite variation, right? Not not stuck and immobile like the old man, right? But this is, in effect, the warning that if Luffy continues to put his fingers in his ears, if that is the necessary side effect of having this new power to stretch apart his skin, then he might end up like this old man, right? So with the gift comes this curse. With the gift comes this necessary demerit. And fixing the demerit is necessary to not become like this old man. He needs to be more flexible in terms of how he listens to people, right? And note that it's exactly the same shape as that which gives him power, right? So the power and the curse come in the same form. And the goal is to get rid of the curse while maintaining the power. This is a powerful image. This is a very interesting message. Note I haven't even talked about the words, and I think I could go on, but really just the visuals of this are evocative enough. I think I'll stop there. I hope you enjoyed this. I'll be back to analyze some frame from chapter 2, but this is a really interesting manga.